why I love doing this podcasting and bringing people on like you is that other people out there are trying to figure out, how do I balance this? What do I do? How do I do it? And it is our duty to kick that back, right? Because we've been through it.
Absolutely.
If I didn't have the knowledge, I wouldn't last. I didn't make it to college, I grew up fast. I got on my feet, I ran to the bag. Call me BP, I run through the gas. A meeting in Cabo, I bought some colossal. This shit like the mafia. We gon' eat dinner, the rest should be obvious.
All right. What's up, everybody? This is Robert Peppo with the Uncensored podcast. This is number 27. Okay, I got my third guest here, Carlos Loso Rivera.
What's going on, guys?
Very happy to have him. Before we get started, again, this podcast is sponsored by Peppo Subs, my company. Please go search it on social media, Peppo Subs on every platform. But yeah, I got Loso here today for podcast number 27, so we're about to get right into it. Loso, I am so fucking happy you're here. We've had like 10 plus years of knowing each other.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
We've always talked about doing a whole lot of things since the day I fucking met you.
Yep.
And this is
scratch this off the bucket list for sure.
Yeah, and this is just one of them. So, I'm super pumped for you to be here. I want to get started by telling everybody kind of how we met and the come up that you've had, get into what you're doing in the hair game, and go from there. So,
For sure.
probably 10 years ago or more. Let's just call it 10, maybe 12 years ago.
Yeah.
You came to get a job to work with us,
I did.
right? And you were a young man. How old are you? 15, 16?
No.
I don't know.
30. Oh, maybe I was like 20.
Okay, maybe 20. All right.
2019, somewhere around there.
And everybody on this podcast knows I'm always a whatever it takes kind of motherfucker, right? I got it on my wristband. I wear it every day. And when you started working here, I'm like, oh man, dude's a hard worker. I just was like, cool. He's a good ass worker. This is good shit. Good young man fucking working, right? And I was young-ish at the time too, coming up, finding my way. But I recognized that in you early on.
Yep.
And I wanted to tell the story of when you came to work, sometimes you had to walk, right?
Yeah.
And this motherfucker, the first time I realized that Carlos was something special was this motherfucker wouldn't call off. He was walking in the rain. And I didn't know that until one day, it was fucking pouring rain. And it wasn't a close walk. Like, it's not totally far, but it wasn't
2 miles.
It wasn't close.
It was
All right,
definitely
so
2 miles.
Think about that. 2 miles in the fucking rain to get to work, right?
Snow.
Yeah.
Desert, all that.
All right. And so that set the tone, like right then and there. Like, most people don't do that. Motherfucker might call off or be like, yo, I can't get a ride, or can someone come pick me up? Whatever. But you're like, yo, whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
Literally from then I knew not only your work ethic obviously showed through, but putting that whatever it takes in, bro, set that on from early on. And I think you've kept that up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you've already explained it. I definitely, my mom, good credit to my mom because she raised me pretty much my entire life. And I would just see her work all the way downtown, drop me off at my grandmother's house, go to work, come back, commute back and forth. And it just stuck with me. So no matter what she did, I did the same thing. When she would leave, I'd leave right with her. When she'd get home, I'd get home right with her. So I kind of just stuck that in the back of my head and just kept it going ever since, So I knew that once I got to that point where I had to provide and stuff, that's exactly what I had to do.
Yeah,
for the rest of my life.
And we're going to get into that too, because
for sure.
Carlos has a family, right? So there's a huge balance between that. Not only the balance, but learning, right? And now teaching, right? So you learn that from your mom, and it's our duty to teach that, right?
Keep it forward, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have kids, but I try and do that with all my employees.
Of course.
And we're going to get into how that happened with you, with us too, right? And so why I love doing this podcasting and bringing people on like you is that other people out there are trying to figure out, how do I balance this? What do I do? How do I do it? And it is our duty to kick that back, right? Because we've been through it.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of young people coming up that didn't have podcasts, YouTube, fucking social media to learn these things.
Right.
I didn't.
I grew up, I believe we grew up in an era where like everything was transforming at the same time as we were growing. So we grew up with no AirPods or iPods or anything like that. It was, CDs and record players and all kinds of stuff. But we grew through the entire, that's how I like to explain it to like a lot of young generations, that we grew through all of that. And a lot of generations now aren't really growing through that. They just are learning it from the jump, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it also teaches you a lesson throughout that moment too.
Sure. Yeah, I love it. So I got 100 different stories, but I'm gonna throw a few in there and we'll just rock with it. So, coming into Carlos, maturing with Peppo's and us and coming up under me as like literally my protege because he was one of the only motherfuckers to like work at my speed kind of thing, like on the table, like low key, like I take pride in that shit, of course.
Yeah.
And you were one of the only few people that still to this day was able to like run that shit like I do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was important. You were with us for like 5 years and that was incredibly important to me. There's been a few other good hitters along the way,
Of course.
but I would still say, no, everybody listening, Gabe, you my man, you good as fuck too. You were probably, I would put you as second to me on that fucking table, running that shit. And so with that story, I'd like to say, probably, 2-3 years in before we opened the Tinley store, we did, I wanted to gift something to Carlos for being such a good ass, down ass employee, right? So you try and take care of your people as best as you can. All right. And we've come a long way since then, but this was my first time. And one of the only few times I've ever done this. I looked for the best knife, on the market. Okay. Shun Cutlery. I absolutely love Shun Cutlery. I love it to this day. I think it's the best knives out there. I'm not a trained chef, but, I tried to do my due diligence to give you something proper. And I also wanted to do it with some sort of tied in meaning to like the samurai culture. I know you have several tattoos that represent this.
Yes.
That's another thing we have in common, getting tattoos from Carly, for so long
For
and,
sure.
Cool shit like that. But the samurai story was I found the best knife and I gave it to Carlos with a speech as in like, I'm the samurai master, right? Which I pride myself on being with Peppo's and you're the second coming, generation, to get that knife. And it was your knife, right? It wasn't anybody else's to use on the table.
Oh, yeah.
That was your shit, your thing. So we have like regular ass bread knives and shit.
That's by far the best knife I've ever used in my life.
Bro, low-key, I still have it, right?
Awesome.
And the reason I still have it is because in the samurai culture, you either die on your sword or whatever happens, your master or, trainer or whatever, the samurai? That whatever they call it.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
We're not going to die on our
Right.
sword at Peppo's,
Not
okay,
for-
bro?
not for
Like,
some
I'm down as
sandwiches.
fuck. But we don't need to do that.
Right.
But the right thing to do when Carlos, left with us was to return it back, okay? And he did that in the same way in which that I gave it to him, which I thought was just so fucking cool. Because that many years later, I wouldn't have thought much about it. I would be like, bro, that's your knife, whatever. But again, the level of mindset that he's on and why I fuck with him so hard this many years later is because of that level of thinking, that level of awareness and understanding that even that little tradition thing that we just did, he gave it back to me, as saying, hey, I appreciate you, but it's time for me to do the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So getting into that, doing the next thing, we could talk about Peppo's all day long, and we'll weave that back in. But since we're on the samurai story, I've always wanted people to do what's best for them. I've said that since day one.
Absolutely.
And at that time of us coming up, you helped us open Tinley when Stefan left and shit. You stepped the fuck up into that and ran both stores, for like a year or whatever it was.
Yep.
And that was hard because we were doing that shit 24/7. We
had energy drink shelves. Like it makes
dedicated.
No sense.
Yeah.
I look back on it now, that was not very healthy at all.
No.
It was not fucking healthy.
But it's the whatever it takes kind of thing. And sometimes you have to go through that period. But
Absolutely.
we still have text messages too, that between us in the mornings being like, bro, what the fuck is going on? We're fucking zombies right now.
Right.
But I credit a lot to him because there's a huge element of we would not have been able to be successful without someone like Carlos there with us, and all the awesome memories from that.
Absolutely. And I'm extremely grateful and thankful for you, of course, and for the whole Peppo's family, because from the moment I got there, I was family. Grandma was my grandma. Mom was my mom. Dad was my dad. You know what I mean? So I'm very thankful for that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. And since there's a lot of business people that listen to this, and it was originally called Small Business Uncensored, I want to tell people that create that atmosphere and you have good long-term employees, right? Now, at our size, and especially back then, we can't do everything for everybody, even though my ambition was to, of course. you can't sometimes, but you treat everybody as best as you fucking can, as family, treat them fairly. And then look, 10, 12 years later, you never know what's coming next, right?
Yeah.
One, don't burn any bridges anyway, unless
Right.
somebody fucks you over, whatever.
Right.
But do right by people and make them, succeed in their lives, whether it's with you or not. That's always been a tenet to me, that you do the best you can, hopefully with us, hopefully for a
course.
long time. But if not, we're going to hopefully promote the shit out of you to do what you do. And that's what I've tried to do forever, whether it's come get a cut from you, which I don't quite need to do much anymore.
Not no more. No,
or send people to you, whatever.
Of course.
Just support that
always,
shit.
Always. The love's definitely always been there, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people listening and as business owners.
Of course.
To do that. It's a huge help. But yeah, your transition, right, it was coming up of knowing you had a passion to do more, for one. Yeah. Knowing you had a unique talent, because you've always been artistic. I remember that. Like, I remember thinking you should be a motherfucking tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of people still tell me that.
But your vision is there for that stylistic, artistic thing, right? And you see it come through.
Absolutely.
Even before it's done, like when you're ready to cut somebody, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it right before I start.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
And we didn't tell people where to go to find you, but why don't we do that right now, and then we'll kind of get into your progression stage.
Yeah, for sure.
So shout out, your social media and where people can find you at.
All right. So my Instagram handle is Loso_OC. It's very simple. LOSO_OC. You can find me on Snapchat there as well. I want to give a big shout out to, of course, my guy, Mr. Peppo, and all the mentors, because he is one of my top mentors that I've ever had in my life, for sure.
I appreciate that.
Like, I'm not even gonna start, but that is for sure one of my biggest mentors I've ever had in my life. Mr. Official, Lowe's Cut It, all the OGs from the Barber Shop, Official Cuts, my guys that are there now, and everybody who has come and gone and taught me many lessons. I appreciate it very much. So yeah, definitely go on Instagram, follow Official Cuts page, follow my page, and when you see Official Cuts page, you'll see everybody else who's in the house. So follow them too.
Yep. We'll put all the links in the description too. All right. So you'll be able to find him. I'm going to tag the shit out of him, of course, like I always do. I'll make sure you guys can find him. And at the end, we'll tell him where he's at, exactly how you can get a cut from him, and how to support, Peppo's and Loso. So
absolutely.
Coming up and making your transition from Peppo's into what you're doing now, I remember in the back after hours, before you officially started, you would cut me up.
Yeah.
You would do it. That's when I had hair, motherfuckers, okay? So don't get on me about what were you doing, just shaving my head?
Man, do I see the pictures, and I'm like, what was I doing then?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Most of my Army friends don't know I had a beard like that or bigger for fucking most of my adult life.
Yeah.
Okay? But I also had hair. So, I think Carlos gave me some mohawks, some fucking, dope-ass fades and shit. But I usually rock the fucking mohawks and then hook the beard up. All right? Now, let me tell you, when you were coming up, I loved seeing it because I knew what you're going to do, because before you even got in a fucking, actually at Official Cuts, your shit was looking right. So how did that happen,
So before I started Official Cuts, I was actually going there as a customer. I was there in high school, probably a little bit of middle school, because I had just transferred from the city. But I was already going to Official Cuts for quite so many years already. I had already had familiarity with all the guys that were there. My barber, Loso, who is my mentor, who's taught me how to cut hair when I first started. And pretty much one day, I'm getting my hair cut by him. And this is kind of like when Instagram kind of started taking off. He asked me if I wanted to be a model for a hair show. And at the time, me, I was very young. My finances weren't all there, right? But he asked me to be a model and to go to Vegas with him. And I had never traveled anywhere except Puerto Rico, but that's because where I'm from, my family's from there and stuff like that. So they would always take care of me. But he asked me to go as a model. He said he would pay for my flight. Just don't worry about the board, or pay half my flight, and I'll take care of the rest of it. Bring a little spending money, and that was it. I'm like, well, shit. Okay. Yeah, why not? Right? Fuck yeah. So we end up going, and it was like the biggest what the fuck moment I've probably ever had, because I didn't know what to expect. I'm just thinking a hair show, okay, it's going to be a lot of glitz, a lot of glamour, right? And when I show up, it was a party. It was like a big, giant party. There were sneaker competitions, tattoo competitions, there was hair competitions, best fades, fastest fades. There was all kinds of stuff. Now, of course, today they're a lot more professional than they used to be, but it was music. There was all kinds of awesome stuff. It was a great vibe. And as I'm in Vegas, I'm with two guys that I barely know. Awesome guys to hang out with. Fun time. But a little side story to that, while we're on our way there on the flight, we're all talking about how much we're bringing. And I'm like, I remember Los asking my other guy, Andy, he goes, hey, how much you bring? He's like, yeah, probably a couple grand. He's like, oh, yeah, I brought a couple grand. I'm like, shit, I only brought like $500. So they looked at me like, what the fuck? I'm like, I've never been anywhere before. I don't know what to expect. They're like, don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. So it's all good. So anyways.
Yeah, in Vegas, that doesn't go a long way.
But
like, you were a young man.
Right. I had no idea.
And let me stop you there. Don't try and compete with your mentors either. I tell everybody that. Yeah. When I, just like that situation, we might be peers on some things here or doing the same things, friends, fuck with each other. But if you're not on that level, don't try and flex to be on that level and fuck yourself early.
Right. Because it never goes well.
For sure,
it
never.
Just never goes well.
I've tried it and it doesn't work.
Yeah. So, I'm seeing this stuff and I'm like, yo, this is pretty dope. Like, I was in this kind of a point in my life where I didn't really know what the fuck I wanted to do. I was going to Moraine Valley Community College, and I was trying to do criminology, photography. I was in art classes.
Photography's another thing.
Yeah, and I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I got great grades in high school. I was always, top of my class type of thing, or top of my grades at least, and always in sports and stuff like that. But when I got to college, I started falling asleep, and I couldn't figure it out. So I took a little break from college, and that's when I was really diving into Peppo so much. And after that trip, I decided to come home. My brother was living with us, and he had a Walmart clipper it was a Walmart clipper. Like, you bought it at Walmart. And it was a straight razor, old school, slide out disposable, and I had nothing else. So I decided to take that and call two of my best friends at the time and cut their hair in my bathroom. And I cut their hair, and it came out awesome. And I was kind of like, I didn't expect to be able to do that, but it was kind of, to me, it was a little self-explanatory. I saw numbers, I saw levers, I saw things were, working the way they were supposed to, and I kind of just figured it out in the way.
It was natural for you.
Yeah, it wasn't like 20, 30 minutes haircuts, but hour and a half each, So after that, I took pictures. I went to go get my next haircut, and I showed them to my mentor, Los Cut It. Also follow him too, please.
Absolutely.
Los_cut_.
Yeah, these dudes have amazing Instagrams. They fucking absolutely crush it.
Awesome.
They don't know, but because of him, I look to them to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because they're doing dope shit. Look, see what anybody else is doing. Either pay them homage, do what they do, send them a shout out, because their shit is on point.
Absolutely.
All of them.
Absolutely. So I showed him the pictures, and he's like, "Oh shit, I didn't know you knew how to cut hair." I'm like, I don't know how to cut any hair at all. I just figured it out. He goes, dude, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. He's like, bring me your stuff. So I went back home, brought my stuff, showed it to him. He's like, well, what did you line him up with? And I'm like, the razor blade? And he goes, there's no way. I'm like, can you do it for me? I showed him. I'm like, he's like, dude, that's awesome. Would you want to learn? And I'm like, maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm kind of like in this weird place in my life at the moment,
Timing, huh?
And I'm not gonna lie, man. I was going through a lot of stuff during that time. I was young, naive, going through a lot of personal problems, relationship problems, life problems, trying to figure out who I wanted to be as a man, as an individual. And I was always afraid of taking chances because I didn't really have anybody to look up to teach me that, and it wasn't until I started working for Peppos that I was around you all the time, and I was like, yo, this is fucking nuts. I love this shit. Like,
we get after it.
This feels fucking great to just take chances all the time. You know what I mean? and regardless of if it works out or not, it works out eventually.
Exactly.
Right. So I pretty much took a few months. Like, it took me a few months to say yes. I'm not gonna lie. It took me a few months. I wasn't sure. I was literally gonna drop everything to do this. I didn't want to fail because I'm not a failure. At the end of the day, and I think just something happened in my personal life that I just said, you know what, I got nothing else to lose.
Yep.
So I went back. I told him, I was like, hey man, you know what? Let's get it. I'll come back. I'll stay here right now. You want me to start learning? Let's do it. He's like, all right. So from then on, I was taking his appointments. I was fixing his schedule. I was running for coffee or whatever food or whatever supplies or cleaning the shop, anything.
So like
everything.
an apprentice.
Like a literal apprentice. And it was, I learned the business from the inside and out, how to manipulate, not manipulate in a bad way, but manipulate your schedule to be able to benefit you, your customers, and all that case, And that I had on lock. For me, that part was easy because I come from like the restaurant business before that, and I had already known how to kind of micromanage everything in a way. So pretty much, I think I started cutting I started learning about a week before my birthday in March. So week before your birthday. Okay. We have birthdays. We're back to back.
Yeah.
6th and the 7th, right? Yeah. So
another reason why we get along is fucking Pisces, baby.
Pisces, right? But we pretty much ended up teaching me everything he possibly could, the basics, the ins and the outs. And when I wasn't at Peppo's, I was at the barber shop. Now the barber shop's literally around the block. It's 5 minutes away. So it was pretty convenient. But I would open up Peppo's, leave Peppo's, 5 minutes there. I'd be there from when I was there till closing time or whenever.
Y'all hearing that?
Every day.
That's the whatever it takes thing. I fucking pound that down because I literally mean it.
Every day.
What will set you apart and what will get you to your goals is that whatever it takes, you're doing that. Back then you didn't have a family, right?
Yeah,
so it's easier to put that in early. But I preach that. I preach that to my young guys in the fucking army is do that shit when you're young.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to do it when you're older.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had all the time in the world. And to me, like at the time, I was like, I don't have enough time to do everything that I really want to do. But in reality, I had all the time I had because now having a family, I'm like, I got no time.
How about that, huh?
I got no time right now.
Perspective shift.
But yeah, every day for 3 months straight. I remember the day I started. May 29th was when I started working at the shop and was like kind of blending out of Peppo's at that time.
Yep. And I supported that, right? I obviously knew this was happening, but I knew what he could do and his potential, raw potential, no matter what it was. You got into photography for a bit there because we both were into that shit. Right. But whatever it was, I wanted you or whoever's close to me to succeed. Of course, we didn't want to lose you. You're a fucking gangster, right? You're OG with us. And we did a lot of things together from Peppo's to expanding it where we were to Tinley. All right. But I always wanted my motherfuckers. I wanted them to stay, of course. That's the selfish
and
part.
I'll tell you this. It was... I think it was really hard because I was so young and hadn't been used to like that family environment. It was just me and my mom's for so long, and just leaving that kind of environment was very difficult for me too as well. But at the end of the day, it was something that I realized I needed to do to grow as a man and a human being. Yep. So yeah,
and I support that because at that time, as I touched on just a little bit, we weren't able to do everything that I wanted to do for someone who deserves, the next step. Because after we closed Tinley, there was a point there where obviously there was a waiting period and transition time. So it was the right thing for me to do to let him flourish in another way if I couldn't provide that. I want motherfuckers to get rich with me no matter what. For sure, that's my goal going forward now with our franchise model. But back then I thought I wanted to do it, but I didn't know how. Right. I thought it would happen and I wanted it to, but I didn't know how to execute on that for everybody in the fucking team. Right. And so I can't hold anybody back. And I don't honestly remember if I even tried to be like, no, bro, you got to stay. I don't think so.
No, not at all. No, you were very, very supportive. You actually gave me a big fucking hug. I still remember that. You gave me a big ass fucking hug for it. Yeah. So, you understood. Like, you guys made it very, very smooth for me. Like, honestly, you made it very, very smooth. You made it very, very comfortable. I felt better doing it. and knowing that I had all the support.
It's always a big decision. You know, it's always tough.
Huge decision.
Changes of
Huge
any
decision.
kind are always
and at the
stressful.
time, I had made so many big decisions that I was like, all right, at some point, a big decision is not going to go well, you know?
But that's okay.
But it's okay. And it worked out. So, yeah, after that, May 29th, I started working 8 years ago.
Hell yeah.
Cutting hair.
I think it worked out pretty good so far.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
I think so, too.
You know, and Official Cuts is such a good, you know, long-standing, you know, great reputation place that you got into a good fucking place.
Absolutely.
You know,
2004. They've been open since.
yeah.
So.
And they do great shit, and their stuff's always slick. So,
yeah.
All right. So as you started to cut, you know, you started to get better and better. When do you think you knew that you wanted to get into cosmetology school and go to hair school? You know, how did that actually happen to really go get, you know, licensed and all that?
So my mentor, Loso Cut It, he actually was going through this transition for himself as well. You know, from being so good in the shop that now he's putting his name out there, and it was all new to him as well, coming up with his own name, his own logos, and his own everything, branding himself, right? And so I'm watching this, and I'm literally watching this. I'm like, well, the last time I followed somebody that was in, you know, trying to do something better for themselves, it worked out, right? So let me continue to do
Mentors
that, right?
are so fucking huge, dude.
So I just kept watching. I kept watching, and it was inspiring. Everything he did, he's just a monster. He eats, breathes, sleeps, everything. Whatever he envisions, it just happens. Like, no matter what, at any time. It doesn't matter. At 2, 3, 4 in the morning, he'll get up and do it, right? So it was very motivating to me, right? But I will say he's actually the reason I went to cosmetology school, because he was already like, okay, well, I know how to cut men's hair. What's the next? How do I become better now? Right?
Do you think that's because there's a cap there, but like how many physically you can do, or?
I just think like going from barbering school to cosmetology school is very huge transition, because they don't teach the same things essentially.
But what I'm saying is, why does a barber want to do that? Do you think that you can max out your career?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
See, I don't know much about it, right?
It's like I don't know, equivalent to going from like a bachelor's to master's degree, maybe.
Gotcha.
I don't know, maybe you know, it's just the experience.
Opens up more doors.
Opens up
gotcha.
way more doors, way more opportunities. And at the time, you know, barbering wasn't very. It wasn't looked at as a career of choice, you know, as a first or second, third option, right? It was a trade, you know, and crazy thing is now 2022 trades are in, right?
For sure.
But at the time, barbering wasn't really anything special at the moment. It was growing to be something special.
Mm-hmm.
But we went to cosmetology. He went to cosmetology school. We went to school together. He started first. He went there because he wanted to be the best he could possibly be. And he wasn't going to be better by going back to barber school, right? So, you know, he didn't need to. He had finished that. So he went to cosmetology school and learned a whole new set of skills. You know, from braiding to coloring to dealing with long textured hair and different kinds of textured hair. We went to Paul Mitchell in Chicago, which is right across the street from
Great
UIC.
school. Yeah.
Awesome school.
Everything I hear about is
great.
top notch.
Like, it's probably the top one in the state for sure. But yeah, he went there, and I was seeing what he was doing. He was dressing different because they require a different dress code.
Sure.
You dress different, you look different, you act different, you work different, and I could see that, and it was the style that I liked. I always seen myself in a more professional environment, you know, and I think
you've always been into fashion and looking good and everything forever. Yeah.
So I just it clicked with me. So I said, you know what, dude, like, if I want to speed this process up, I need to keep up. So I enrolled, and I didn't even tell anybody. I just enrolled because that was another big step for me.
Sure.
I was like, something's telling me to ask somebody or talk to somebody about it, but nah. So I did that. And it was even harder for me because I had quit community college to do this. So it was like, you better make it work. And that's all I had. I had no choice.
Plan B.
No plan B.
Love
that
it.
was it.
Love it.
I gave myself no choice.
If you don't have a plan B, plan A has to work.
It has to work.
Okay.
It has to work. And essentially, going back to when we used to talk at Peppo's, it was a lot of it we talked about. What's that drummer that had that story about his tattoos?
Travis Barker, bro.
Yes.
He tattooed the shit out of himself to never have to fucking go get a real job. Now, obviously, tattoos now, you can get a job and it's not looked at like that. But he did that 20 fucking years ago.
10 years ago, it was not like that at all either.
I'm glad you remember that story.
That sticks with me every time. So I just kept getting myself tatted. I got tattoos everywhere. So I kept getting myself tatted, and it just made me stick to my guns for sure. So I was very proud of that.
And it goes with your industry too.
Yeah,
it's a fashion statement for sure.
It definitely does. It helps a lot.
Yeah, I love it. So when you went to school, graduated, and then got back, you feel like it for sure helps you up your game in what you do?
100%. I 100%. I was understanding the whys of why I was doing what I was doing instead of just doing it so it looked good. Now I got to understand why and how to explain it to somebody else or how to teach it to somebody else. Because when I first started learning, like I said, Loso was in a transition period too. I was like his first apprentice success story. So for him, that was a big deal, right?
Fuck yeah.
And when he was teaching me,
I like how you tied that in, by the way. The
I
first
didn't
apprentice.
even realize that, but it's cool. It's perfect. So when he was teaching me, it's very different than as if he were to teach me today, right? If I didn't know anything and he were to teach me today, it would be very, very different than 10 years ago.
You think better or harder?
Way better.
Oh, got you.
It would be way easier for me to learn.
Got you.
And you know, rightfully so. It was because we didn't know how at the time. You know, we were very young. So, and he was very young in his career as far as branding and putting himself out there as well. So when he was teaching me, it was very more like, well, I'm doing this, this, and this. So now you do this, this, and this. And thankfully, I'm a very like hands-on person. So I'm able to replicate anything anybody does, right? So
that's why you're so good at the table. You just
if I see something, I'm doing it. Like,
listen, that's not me, right? So you have that unique thing about you where you can pick that up. But some people like me got to work extra fucking hard to figure shit out or get good at it.
Yeah, because I'm literally paying attention to how you're standing, how your mannerisms are, your everything about everybody.
The
like,
details, right? The success is in the details.
Absolutely. To how you hold something, to how you touch something, to how you turn something. Everything is all everything I think about. Even when I'm walking and I'm looking at people walking or look back at me or communicating with other people, and I'm like, that person
you got that thing.
You have that, right? So, it was very, very challenging because there was moments where I was like, all right, dude, what the fuck? Like, I didn't get any of that. But when I went to cut my first hair model, which was it David?
Actually, I think that it was.
It was David.
Yeah, for sure.
David, yeah. David was
Sulis,
one of my first. Yeah, well, he was one of my first hair models at the shop, and it took me 2 hours. I was sweating bullets. I had the top barbers that I have ever known just cutting hair, but I can feel laser beams.
Of course.
In the back of my head. There was to the point where I would turn my chair on the opposite side so they couldn't see what I was doing, finish that side, then turn them to the side that was done and good.
Because you're also their reputation too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're at their fucking shop.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I didn't want it. It was a lot of pressure, but I eat it. I eat pressure.
Yeah.
Like I realized that I was a procrastinator, but I love procrastinating because I get it done the best. And I didn't realize I operated like that for so long. But when I was able to understand that, I accepted it and I just got better.
You know, I told somebody that today. They said, "How do you not get nervous?" I'm like, dude, I am always fucking nervous. I just have been nervous so many times that I can thrive in that environment now.
Absolutely.
But there's a long period of feeling that eyes on, them fucking laser beams. Same thing when I was coming up in the Army. I wanted to perform well, and I knew the higher NCOs were looking at me.
Yep.
But now that I'm where I'm at now, I thrive in that environment because it's not that we don't get nervous anymore. It's not that we're not afraid of things.
It'll always be there.
But it makes us better because people like us and anybody listening, that brings out the best in us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And although it's fearful, once you get in there, you can get it. Right.
Absolutely. And I've used that to everything in my life. Everything. After working for Peppo's was like the beginning of my second life type of thing. You know what I mean?
There's chapters, man.
Yeah, I had heard what was it, Joe Rogan podcast? A gentleman said every man lives 2 lives, and I believe he said the second life starts when he realizes when he's able, it's something like that.
When he realizes what he's meant to do, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Then it actually begins.
And that's, I feel like I have many of those lives because I went through so many chapters, but
Sure.
I grow a lot faster because of that.
Absolutely.
Hold that very close to my heart. For sure.
And that brings me to another parable. I just posted on my Instagram, the 2 wolves. All of us have 2 wolves inside of us.
Yeah.
If you feed one, whatever that wolf wants to do grows. If you starve one, whatever that motherfucker wanted it to do is dead. So the 2 wolves are one that can hold you back. You're scared. You might not go for it. If you feed into that, that will grow.
Absolutely.
But if you feed that motherfucking wolf like I do, that is a no fear. Like, it's not no fear, but it's functioning with the fear.
Yeah.
When you feed that shit, you can do almost anything and just get over those humps.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So kind of like that same quote. Maybe not, but close.
No, I fucks with it.
Yeah.
Heavy. You already know I'm. I'm listening.
For sure.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since then, I just after cosmetology school, I absolutely grew substantially, 100%. I ended up managing official cuts, and I still actually manage official cuts today. So
Yep. Awesome. Now, you went to a couple, right? A couple different ones managing them?
yeah. So my first management position, which is crazy, because I would have had 3 different management positions within the company, was when I first started. Within the first year, Mr. Official wanted me to manage a location
Listen,
on 147th and Pulaski.
Leaders recognize that in you,
Yeah.
okay?
So, as amazed as I was for him even asking me that, I was like, no. I turned it down immediately. I was like, look, I'm sorry, but no. And the reasoning for that was because I felt as if like, even though it doesn't essentially work like this in the real world, my mindset at the time was there's guys that have been there for years who have yet to get that position. Who am I who has just started to just stampede over everything and then try to run the show, right? In an environment I've never even been in, nor know how to navigate through. So what I did was I took the step back to focus on myself first and then worry about that later. And so years later, after I graduated high school, or not high school, I'm sorry, Jesus. After I graduated cosmetology school, another position came up for our different location in Bridgeview, and I took that. It was a temporary position that I knew was going to be temporary, but I took it because I needed to have that experience.
Yep.
I needed to have that experience and kind of move away from what I was comfortable doing, and I just took that leap again.
That was right around when Corona started, right?
Yeah, I would say maybe a year or so before that, because I was there for a little bit, and then Corona started.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah,
I was gone when that happened. I was in Afghanistan when you did that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was at least near that time.
Yeah, around that time frame. So yeah, I went there. I turned the place around, managed it my way. Of course, my way and the owner's way. But I was able to do my thing in there and brought in a lot of clients. Went through a lot of different changes, a lot of different people. Essentially, I didn't take shit from nobody. You know what I mean? I'm of course respectful, you know, but at the end of the day, a job's a job, and if you're not taking it as serious as I am, I find that as a sign of disrespect.
Sure.
Respectfully, you know what I mean? Because I want, like you said, the best for everyone as well.
Yep.
So I feel like if you don't want that, let me know, so that I don't expect those things out of people.
Isn't that a hard position to be in, where we're like sort of perfectionist,
Right.
and want the best out of everybody because we can do that,
Right.
right? We know what we bring to the table. We don't. Why can't you?
Right.
Why don't you? But that's that learning of everybody's different, understanding, but holding that fucking standard.
Yes.
We have to learn people because everybody's different.
Yes.
They don't have our motivations or abilities even. We have to manage that, but also hold the standard.
Absolutely. And man, was that such a growing pain, because I was so 1, 2, 3, 4 by the book that I had to take a step back and realize, like, you're stressing yourself out more than you need to when you're trying to worry about everybody else. Just let everybody do their thing. As long as they're doing what they're supposed to, just follow or lead, and they'll follow.
Yeah.
Naturally, if they want to. You know what I mean?
Well, you should know the way, go the way, and show the way.
Exactly.
That's like the analogy or whatever.
Right.
I get it. Now, I want to back you up because this is some businessy stuff. Are the locations franchised, or is it all corporate owned by Official Cut, Mr. Official himself?
One is partnered. We have
if you can say, you don't have to.
They're all Official Cuts. They're either franchised or.
Got you.
Cool.
Because that's what I'm looking to grow locations again.
Absolutely.
And we did it ourselves the first time, which is Peppo's owned corporate, which is not the way forward for us.
Absolutely.
Because then you got to do all that fucking shit yourself.
Yeah.
The goal for me is other owner operators, good people running it with you.
And that's who are running the other Official
For
Cuts
sure.
is
I think that's the best way forward.
People. Absolutely.
It's kind of how we wanted to develop with like you and Stefan back then.
Yeah.
We just didn't know the way forward.
Exactly.
One day I would love to show you because I believe in you and trust you to see what we're doing now versus what we did then, like how it's built out now.
I bet.
Bro.
I bet.
For one, because you know what we did.
Right.
You're like one of the only people that were like in the shit with us. I would love to show you how it's going to operate now, just to get your take and be like, bro, I think that's better.
Yeah, 100%.
I hope that's what you say.
100%. I'm already knowing, dude. You had never had a lack of knowledge or wanting to know more. Yeah. So I knew you would figure it out at some point.
I didn't even think about it till right now to have you, sit down with me for like a half hour. Just let me show you.
I'll spend the whole day. I don't care.
For sure. All right, bet. I'm going to hold you to that because that's what I wanted to say. I didn't want just a half hour with you.
Sure. We'll come chill in the pool or something.
Let's
do it.
Yeah, good shit. Do you think there was any roadblocks on the way for you? Like, it sounds as you say the story that you were natural at it, you transitioned into it, then you went to hair school, you were managing. What were some roadblocks you think that you had to get over?
Ooh, man.
Because people that are naturally good at things, it's not that they don't go through shit. Because like I'm naturally good at business, but I go through shit all the fucking
every
time.
Day, from the moment you wake up.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you said that managing people part, but I'm talking about like the cut game part for you.
Yeah.
Was there any roadblocks in you getting as good as you are now? Do you think, or was it actually just natural for you?
Absolutely. There absolutely was a lot of roadblocks. There was points and times where like I would just come to like the most serious plateau in my career, and I was just like, now what? Like, now what do I do? And it took me a while because I was so disciplined, yet I gave myself such bad anxiety because I knew I can do more and be better and be as like whatever I envisioned, I wanted it right then and there.
Of course, we all did.
It's just I wanted it then and there. And it took me a long time, I believe, till I had a family to realize that, hey, you just kind of got to let things come when they need to come to you. And but yeah, there was definitely mental blocks, physical blocks. There was points in times where like, I wasn't happy with myself personally because I had focused so much of something, focused myself into something so much that I lose track of something else, right?
Yeah.
Which we all go through.
Yep.
And then when you try to flip back, you start losing that. And absolutely, I definitely did. I definitely got to a point where I was looking at the money. And then I was looking at the skill. And then I was looking at traveling. And every time I got pulled one way, I got pulled the other way. And it was a lot of that. Absolutely. During school as well. There was a lot of moments where I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I definitely don't want to do that. But I had to do that. So I did it. And actually... A little quick story is my last day at cosmetology school, I spent the entire day catching up on about 10 to 15 exams, plus my final, plus papers. All of that. I did it all in one day. Actually, to the very second, I printed my last sheet of paper, and went down the hall to do a clock out because they do a celebration when your time's up.
Got you.
Every student comes down the hallway. You walk down the hallway, and everybody's like, and it celebrates you. You clock out for your final time, and that's it. That's how, like, down to the bone I was at school. So, and reasoning for that is because I was working so much in school. I wasn't able to do a lot of, like, the paperwork and stuff because I had so many clients in school booking with me. Men clients, female clients, and it was just a lot to really absorb because my schedule would wake up, go to the gym, go to at first it was go to work and then go to school. So traveling about an hour each time, each time back and forth. And then eventually there became a schedule where it was like part-time or a longer period of time during the day for day school students. So I transferred over. So now I'm going to school during the morning. So not only am I going to the gym in the morning, I'm going through rush hour downtown.
Fuck all that.
Then coming back an hour during rush hour again, okay? And then working the whole night until I was done and doing it every day for a year and a half, 2 years straight.
You hear that shit?
2 years straight. Cosmetology school has no breaks. There is no summer break, no spring break, no holiday breaks, no nothing. There is, you work, you get it over with.
And you did it.
And I did it.
So I say that too. There's a point in my time when we had Peppo's one in Tinley where it was about 3 years straight because we were open 7 days a week till 9 p.m. It was every day. Yep. 0 days off. I don't regret anything I've ever done because everything is a learning experience.
Absolutely not.
I'm glad I did it then so I don't ever have to do that shit again. And I know what not to do.
Absolutely.
Right? But we went through it to get to where we are now.
Yep.
So the people listening, right? It's going to suck. Sometimes the shit is going to fucking suck.
A lot.
But let it suck and get a reward from it. Don't let it suck and then just suck more because you weren't willing to do what it takes. Absolutely. Right? I always say life is fucking hard. You're going to get your ass kicked. Shit's going to be tough. Get a fucking reward from it.
Yep.
If shit's going to be hard, get something fucking out of it.
Yep.
All right? So make it hard on your terms. So, yes, we take these things on ourselves, right? I opened Tinley ourselves. We knew what the fuck I was getting into.
For sure.
You put yourself through school. You knew what it was going to get through, going to be, and you did it.
Yep.
All right? And now you can look back at it and talk about it.
Oh, yeah,
for
sure. For sure.
But I want motherfuckers to know what the fuck you got to do. And I think that I saw my father do that. You know, because Jim worked a lot, obviously. Kudos to him. But I never had anybody like in my peer group tell me that and show me. Nobody was doing it.
For sure.
And so that's why I want to give back.
Absolutely.
And I want to say it over and fucking over to make sure nobody fucking thinks that anything's fucking handed to you or that anything worth it is easy.
Right.
Okay? Anything worth it takes fucking crazy amount of time. And I learned that 10 years after I thought I already knew it.
Yep.
And I'm still learning it.
Yep. I still remember you and your dad going back and forth like, no, Dad, let me do this. Let me fucking do this.
Look, back then I was a bit more hard because I wanted to force it to happen. Like we want everything now, right?
Yep.
I learned so much. Like back then I was for sure a bit more forceful than I should have been, but I was hell-bent on getting it done. Not only one so I can show him and so he can retire and have that reward. Yeah. That was always part of my goal, no matter how hard I was at the store. And I will say I was harder back then than I am now because now I'm more patient and understanding because I'm getting it done in a whole different fucking way. That's actually faster than the forced way. Yeah. But I didn't know anything back then.
Yep.
And I thought that's what I had to do. And by all means, I think that it worked out okay. And for sure it worked out good because, you know, maybe as you know, I think I told you I finally bought Jim out like 2 years ago, gave him his retirement.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. As like official, you know, me and Alex have been doing it forever.
No,
but when I got home from Afghanistan about,
official,
6 months after that, I was like, hey, look, it's the right thing for me to do now.
Wow.
Give you that retirement because you've allowed me to do all this, right?
Absolutely.
With plenty of headaches in there. So that became official.
Of course.
You know, so
that's awesome.
I'm proud of that to give him that retirement.
Congrats, Mr. Peppo.
So we had a great deal. You know, thank you so much. I think I got the great end of the deal, of course, because of what we're going to do.
Everybody did. And he's I'm sure he's very, very proud. Very proud.
I hope
very thankful. So.
I think so. But so after school, now I know you did some teaching too. You know, going back and not only, well, for one, I try and follow everything you do on social media and everything. But I've seen you, hold seminars or classes, whether it's at Official Cuts or not. I've seen you do a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
How are those things, and is that something you want to continue doing, or?
Yeah. So I when I was in school is when I realized I really enjoyed teaching. I had a lot of really awesome educators at school, and to the point where I was just mesmerized by how like someone would teach something that I love to do, right? And I went to school with nothing but with women. It was literally 99.9% women. There was like 3 men, right? I was one of them included, right? So when I was teaching like the women how to cut men's hair, I got such great feedback from it. Naturally, maybe because I'm a man teaching women, of course. Naturally, it's probably just that, but when I was teaching even the educators, the male educators, and showing them how I do things, they they were impressed. And I'm like, okay, like, an educator can't be impressed by a student that much, right? You know what I mean? But I accepted it, and I took it, and I loved it. And when I got out of school, I had the words to teach, not just teach and say, well, this is why I do these things. Now I'm telling you why to do it, when to do it, why you should do it, what other ways to do it. Everything. Like I had the words down, the language down, everything. I had everything down by the time I got out of school.
So refined already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was able to refine my skills and my teachings to be able to educate a lot better. So I feel like teaching and educating. You get what I'm saying? Like the two differences between those two words is how I felt actually educating afterwards. So I did a little bit of that. I did a class at Mario Trikoshi, and I actually did it as a student when I was a student at Paul Mitchell, and the educators didn't even know that I was a student. Because technically, I guess I'm not supposed to do that. Yeah, well, but you know,
technically,
whatever.
we can bend the rules all the fucking time.
You know what I'm saying? Who doesn't? So, but I had said something, and they're like, "Wait, you're still in school?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, okay." So then I spoke to the educator at the end of the class.
But you're also at this point really good at what you do, though.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a level to that.
Absolutely. So he there was a lady in there that was went back to school for her educator license and said, "You're one of the best educators I've seen come in this school." And I was like, "Wow, that means a lot." I was in middle school being able to teach what I know to people who are doing the same thing I'm doing. Yeah. And so I did that. What else did I do? I took on a couple apprentices of my own. A very great success story, Jay and my guy Brandon that I went to high school with. Brandon's working with us in Orland, in the Orland location, and Jay's doing her thing, traveling and stuff like that. I also did, what else did I do? Oh, I got flown out to Denver, Colorado Springs, actually. I taught a class out there. I was literally there for like 48 hours, 24 hours or something like that. Flew in, went, taught a class, came back home.
Dope.
That was awesome. Denver was beautiful. Colorado Springs was even more beautiful. Shout out to them, of course. But yeah, I did that, and little by little just kept teaching.
All right, so now where you're at now, what do you feel you're going to continue to do? So I have another thing I want to go back to, but I want to keep going on your trajectory here, and I'm going to circle back on something that I think I want to know. But so with all that, with what you're doing now, cutting, do you still feel like there's going to be stuff that you want to do as far as teaching? And where are you going to take what you're doing now? And then there's two more parts to this.
I want to say yes, naturally, of course. I would absolutely love to teach.
Yeah, because you say you love to teach it.
I love to teach.
I know that you're naturally good at it. So.
I love being able to like have people literally on my shoulders and just observing everything I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I would love to do that if the opportunity presents itself. I wouldn't say it's something that I'm like chasing at the moment, but if someone, hey, I would like you to teach class, fuck yeah, sign me up for sure.
Cool.
But right now, I'm in between another phase in my life where I've had to navigate through a bunch of new things with having a family.
Yeah, you have a young family.
With managing the headquarters now, while the owner is taking care of our academy, Official Cuts Academy.
I know, I've seen that shit.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what I was alluding to.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not sure how that works, of course. I just know it's a dope looking fucking place, dude.
Awesome. It is
Super
probably
nice.
Look, whoever's out there, search up Official Cuts Academy.
I'll put that link in the
We'll put
description
the
for
link
you.
up, yeah.
I am always willing to shout out absolutely everybody who either my guest has contacts with or thinks needs to be, or me, because they're doing good shit, and that's what I would like to do.
Absolutely. Visit if you like, say my name and they'll they'll love to show you around. And if you know anybody that wants to enroll, perfect place to go to, because not only are you going to get great education as far as book smarts, but the type of hands-on education you're going to get there is uncomparable.
Yeah, you guys got some hitters, bro.
Because we have so many people that we have a lot of resources. We have a lot of resources for the best education possible. And if we don't, we'll find it. We'll figure it out. So
another question for this. Is there a lot of competition in the space of, okay, so the school for men's haircuts, all right, so Official Cuts Academy. Is there a lot of competition for that? Because I don't know of any. Like, I know several hair schools.
Yeah.
Not
that I know of.
Well, I think that's a good thing. Y'all can
Not that I
corner
know
that
of.
market.
I know that there is some, but they're not near. They're all pretty far.
We don't need to shout them out. I was just wondering.
No, yeah.
You know.
I know, like, Paul Mitchell has a barbering program as well, like in Tinley and in Lombard. But other than that, I'm not aware of a lot of other schools. I know there's one, like, up north that one of our friends that we know in the industry runs.
So that's cool. Friends, you said. Now, is there a lot of either competition within the barber shops, or is there some collaboration like that?
I think mostly if you're around the right people, it's a lot of collaboration between a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you're always going to have your haters.
For sure.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not around it.
Yeah, dude.
I'm not around it. I like, even if I was around it, I wouldn't be around it.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't say that I've been around that. Luckily, being at Official Cuts, this is the only barbershop I've ever worked at. And when I hear stories about, like, other shops and how they run, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's just foreign to me, very foreign. And it's like, it's not professional. It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So I'm always extremely blessed to be in the position I'm at.
For sure. You know, what I've learned coming up and getting older and wiser in the restaurant is there's a lot of people that are willing to collaborate with you and, like, be friends in the industry and share best practices. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot out there for everybody, you know, and you can learn a lot from your friends and network and do these things, which will ultimately lead to just a better outcome, I think, overall.
Absolutely.
And so it's interesting to hear different people. So there's always competition in restaurants, I suppose. But I've also made a lot more friends that own restaurants that people can choose over Peppo's if they wanted to.
For sure.
But I realize, first of all, not everybody's going out to eat every day. Right. If they are, they might choose that place one day, me the other day. I know everybody's not going to come to me every fucking day.
And even as, like, working as an employee working in Peppo's, you, like, know people's routine. Like,
for sure.
Okay, yeah, John's coming next Sunday.
Bro, for sure.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see him park, you're already making his food.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
So that type of thing.
Yeah. Cool. So I want to circle back on one thing that we have to deal with. I wonder how you deal with it. So friends and family. Okay. We had a point where it wasn't a good thing for us. We were giving out too much free shit, all that. Yeah. I want to tell people who are new in the game or have a product or service and their friends or family want to use it. And, you know, as you know, we've been, you know, friends a long time. You've been an employee a long time, but I charge you. I might give you a family discount and you charge me because I want to support you.
Absolutely.
Right? Do you find it hard to, if people ever be like, yo, you feel like you should hook them up, you don't need to, there's a balance there. I try and keep it fair across the board. 100%. Family gets a family discount, doesn't matter what family you are.
Right.
Okay. Now we'll provide free stuff at a family party, something like that. No problem on us. Right. But do you think in your environment that's hard to balance? You know, I like the way you do your on the Booksy.
Yeah.
I love that. Did I say it right?
Booksy, yeah.
Because you have to put it in there to even get in your chair.
Yeah.
So it kind of cuts all that. I don't have that. I'm face to face.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
You know, so
that sucked having to answer to hundreds of text messages a fucking day. Absolutely. And then having to work, and so it would be me cutting hair, me on my phone or on my phone like this or on my headphones, or me trying to book cutting hair like this. I was literally receptionist, secretary, welcoming, greeting people at the door, making sure they're okay, directing them, and handling everything, especially as a manager now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, we didn't even have a walk-in sheet at the time when I first started. And now we have Booksy, we have walk-in sheet. There's a lot of changes that, of course, companies go through and grow through and realize, hey, what the fuck are we doing, right?
And because you guys are busy as fuck.
Busy as hell. Busy as hell. We're actually always, like, looking for new people. Always, always, always. But yeah, absolutely. It was terrible. I don't even know how I did it or had the patience or energy for it. Like, there's, like, let's see. Right now, even now. Okay, maybe I cleared it out before I got here.
Oh, that's okay.
I had like 20 unread text messages. And it was all like slight responses like, hey, I tried to look for something for Friday. I didn't see anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
that
'cause
means there's nothing.
There's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully.
And that's hard to balance because you want to do right by your friends. You want to hook people up, but this is your life.
Yeah.
You have clients that are always there.
Yeah.
And you have to balance that right.
Yeah.
For me, it's about the being fair thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And it was something that I realized as I got older and had a family, I couldn't do it as much. When I was younger and I didn't have no kids or a family to provide for, I was, sure. You know what? Look, it's your birthday. I got you this week. Don't worry about it. You going out? You got an anniversary? Here, I got you. It's on me.
Yep.
Love, right?
Yep.
But it got to the point where I'm like, just because your haircut's the easiest haircut I do doesn't mean that I should charge you less for something that took me years to learn and master.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not charging you for right now. I'm charging you for the 8+ years that I've had learning what I had to learn to get you in and out in 15 to 30 minutes.
Yep.
You know? So a lot of people, I feel, didn't understand that.
Sure.
You know, which rightfully so. It's not everybody's going to understand that or be in the position to be able to understand that, right?
Yep.
So I was there once.
Yep.
But at some point, everybody has to get to where they really want to get
That's
to.
right.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Because you have a family to take care of.
Yeah.
You have bills to pay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have goals in your life, too, that you need to achieve.
Right.
And I struggle with that a little bit now, but I know that I keep it fair, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I know that everybody's getting the fair deal, getting it right.
Yeah.
So anybody out there listening, this is why I bring it up. Because from his industry to mine, the dealing with the people thing is a hard thing to do. Because I've heard really bad stories of people who can't manage that and they go out of business or they fuck themselves and you can't recover from that sometimes. You want to hook people up, but at the end of the day, this is a business. And if they're your actual friends, they should support you and let you make that decision when you will do whatever you need to do, if anything at all, which does happen, right? But it can't happen every time. And I literally mean it can't happen every time.
Right, right.
And it shouldn't.
Absolutely
Your
not.
people and your friends should support you. When I got older and realized the people that do support you are willing to pay full price and tip or more, that's the motherfuckers you want to be with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And recently in the past couple years, ever since really Corona hit, I've learned that very quickly. A lot of people took care of me during Corona. Like during the whole shutdown, we were shut down for 3 months straight.
That had to be hard
No
for
income.
you guys.
I got a job at Menards, quit after a week because I was like, fuck this, this is stupid.
Yeah.
You know, not knocking that Menards, you know, Menards is a great place. I actually loved it because of the labor.
Yeah.
I was getting my ass in shape real quick.
Yeah.
But, it didn't make sense. I realized that a lot of the people, like, it doesn't make sense that other industries can charge a certain amount. You could buy J's for $200-$300, $400 or $500, but you can't take someone else, take care of your guy that cuts your hair, that makes you feel good, that makes you look good.
I want to talk about that. Makes you feel good and look good. Bro, I tell you what, when you cut me up back in the day, hook up my beard and shit, you feel like $1 million, bro. That's what I love about your industry and how you can make people feel.
Yeah.
When they look good, bro, you get another confidence to you, dude.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
for work or when you go out on the weekend, whatever.
Absolutely.
Bro, that fresh cut is something different to you.
It is. And it feels good knowing, like, my clients will deny the mirror. Like, they won't want to look at the mirror because they feel good, you know? And I'm like, fuck yeah. That's what I want. You know what I mean? But it definitely, I've raised my prices almost every year because I feel like everyone should give themselves a raise, you know? And luckily I'm in a place where I can do that. And the people who have supported me have supported me. They continue to pay me and tip me more.
Yep.
And I'm very, very thankful for that because without them, me and my family wouldn't be able to live our lives that we have now.
Yep.
So thank you to all my clients, all my friends, family who take care of me. And I appreciate you guys for real.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal. So that's like us, too. We have to raise our prices sometimes, especially in this crazy fucking volatile market
like,
we're in.
Gas is $5. It doesn't make any sense.
So, well, that's the whole point. You don't have anything to say about gas prices. You just have to eat that shit and do it.
Right.
But if I raise my price on a sandwich,
Yeah.
oh, what's going on? Oh, you raised your price.
Yeah.
What the fuck can I control
Right.
in the market? Not yet with one store. Once we have 10 or 15, hopefully we can, right?
Right.
But if gas is going up and everything is going up.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah, exactly.
Fat Joe.
Yeah, but for real. You know, and most of our customers are great.
Yeah.
Most of them understand it.
Yeah, of course.
But it's, you know, it's
and it always works out because those people that stayed are making up for the people that left.
For sure. And like you, man, we're busy as fuck.
For sure.
So it far outweighs, the good
Absolutely.
over the shit you got to deal with sometimes. And we are both fortunate for that, to be good at what we do and have, steady fucking customers and clients and shit over years of that. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So what do you think is next for you? You decided to go into the next chapter, balancing the family and everything now. That's a big deal, right? Because you want to do the right thing. And
yeah. I don't know. You remember, like, when I used to work, I always had different ideas and different things, and they weren't always in the same, like, line of work.
for sure. Yeah.
But I'm
with you.
I always, like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do this.
Why do you think I went to the army?
Right.
At 30 fucking 2 or 3 years old, bro.
Right. So
Totally different. But
so yeah, I've always been into real estate. I want to get into real estate, of course. It just makes sense. Like, everybody should at least be into one thing in real estate, right?
my listeners know I was big into real estate, flipped 3 properties.
Yeah.
Right. And my strategy was different, but I'm a proponent of it because it's got me to where I want to be.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Other than that, right now I'm really just focused at home.
Good.
I'm really focused at home. I'm
And your wife's doing the nail thing and everything?
Yeah. So my wife, when I met her when I was in cosmetology school. Funny story. I met her off of Tinder. Tinder success story. So Tinder, if you hear me out here,
There you go.
I would like a little bit of compensation or something, please. But yeah, we've been together for 6 years this year. It's a big year for me, big year for her, big year for us. She came with a 4-year-old son that I've been raising since then.
Bonus dad.
Yes, we've had our beautiful Raiden and Aleda. He's 4, she's 2. They both just turned 4 and 2 this year. And throughout that time, it just made sense for her to be a stay-at-home mom. So I took care and supported them throughout that whole time. Hence why COVID was so, like, terrifying for me. I was able to help her get her schooling done for nails. I put her through school, paid all that off for her as soon as I signed her up. I didn't even tell her I signed her up. I just called the school, signed her up. It was just like one of those things. Look, I know what you're going through. I know you want to do it, so I'll do it, type of thing.
Awesome.
Because I remember that's what I went through.
Yep.
I went through that, and I was at that point where I was scared to make that choice. But if I was given no option,
No plan B.
no plan B,
Yeah.
right? So, I put her through school. She's doing great. It took a little time. It was hard for us to navigate through a new baby and COVID and all that stuff. So all those things. So it took a little bit extra time for us. But man, is marriage and family such a different monster than anything I could ever explain. It's one of those things that you just, if someone's coming to me for advice as a newly engaged person, whatever I tell that person, they'll have no clue what I'm feeling about that or meaning by that until they go through it.
Yeah.
So all I could just say is that I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful to have an amazing wife, an amazing mother to my kids.
Yeah, I say that too about Alex.
Yeah.
A good spouse and having that is incredibly important. Alex is a fucking gangster.
Yeah.
I couldn't do half the shit
Absolutely.
without her holding it down on everything else.
sure.
Because I get myself involved in a lot of shit.
For sure.
And so she's got to hold that down, especially when I was gone for 10 months.
Right.
And she had to be down. So
For sure.
yeah.
Kudos to them, for sure, man. Because I really don't know. Like, there's, like, I know I would be okay by myself, of course, because I've figured that out. But getting married and we didn't really get to have our actual, like, reception, or we got married through court. We took care of some things. She's a resident now. She's been here since she was very, very young. So she literally came here from Mexico and never left, right? Came here the right way. Loved the country. Her mom loved the country. And they've been here since they were young.
Success story.
It's another success story.
Love it.
She's another amazing success story. She had her first one when she was like 16, 17 years old. I met her when she was like 21, 22, right? And it's just to see how much she's grown as well is phenomenal.
Awesome.
It's phenomenal. And look, success stories are nothing without the turbulence in between that, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, there is a lot of turbulence every day. There's always something new going on.
Well, if you notice, these are diamonds in here, and pressure makes diamonds. How do you get all these diamonds? With a shitload of pressure on you. Okay. So like I look at it like that, but look at the details.
Yeah.
Think about what does that mean to me?
Yeah.
Pressure makes diamonds. A whole lot of pressure.
Wow.
Whatever. Yeah. That's my little relation.
I realized I didn't look at it up close, but I was like, that looks like glass. That's cool. That's awesome. But yeah, she's going to school, or she finished school. She is. Let me get you guys her Instagram handle too. I'm gonna just say it real quick.
Shout it out, please do.
I gotta support my baby.
I do it because when you support everybody, that whole circle, everybody eats.
Of course.
Right? That's the whole point.
Of course. So Nails, Nails by Anna Rivera. 1 N for Anna _ she's killing it. I mean, I'm talking about she's posting.
Oh, I know. You share it all the time, and the shit looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep my game up now. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
Because for a long time, I'm not gonna lie, I went through a point in my life where I was so focused on supporting that I lost myself within taking care of everything else. And to this day, it's still a little hard. I'll have spurts where I'm like on it. Next week, a couple weeks later, I'm off. And I'm back on it again. And that is life. It just sucks. And until you figure it out and everything is running like a well-oiled machine.
And it takes time and practice.
It takes time, practice, and it'll eventually work.
And those are all full-time jobs.
Yes.
Clearly being a parent is a full-time job.
And look, hey, I don't care what anybody says, but a stay-at-home mother is a full-time
100%.
job as well.
My mom was for 12 years. I'm so thankful for that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I've expressed to her how thankful and proud of her I am. She's not the type of person to be at home. She does not like being at home. She likes to be out and about. Yeah. So I'm very thankful to have had that opportunity and grow through that with her for sure.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, man.
Good shit. So I think we're going to wrap it up here because we kind of went full circle from Peppo's to your growth to the next chapter to hair school to family and everything in between. And I'm super glad we got to share that. So really, I appreciate you, man. We covered a lot of shit today. I don't even know how long we went. Definitely over an hour. But
really?
Yeah, for sure. But
awesome.
Carlos, I appreciate you. I'm going to include
you.
I'm going to include everything in the description for all your social media, but we're definitely going to shout it out again right now. So I'll go first. Please follow me, myself, Robert Peppo, on all my social media pages. Links are in the description. Peppo Subs. All right. We both have a connection there, of course, but go check us out on Instagram. Sign us a follow. Share this with your friends. Peppo Subs on Instagram and all that. And then share the podcast. Like, this is going to be free forever. And all I ask of all my people is, share it with somebody, send it to somebody that might like it. If someone's interested in hair, right, send it to him. He said they're always hiring, things like this. Maybe a mentor, he could be for somebody. So please follow all his stuff when he gives you where to go for that. Again, the links will be in the description. But Loso, tell them where to find you.
Absolutely. You can check me out again on Instagram at Loso, LOSO_OC. That's the same Snapchat. I have subscribers subscribing every day to my Snapchat. Snapchat is my little more personal, so I post what I'm doing throughout the day instead of what my work is, right? Or what funny things are happening at the shop.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Loso_OC. Follow Official Cuts Academy. My wife, of course, Nails by Anna Rivera _ I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for so much. Thank you for all the love and support you've given me.
Forever.
I'm very, very humbled and thankful to be here with you today.
Same. And I'm glad. And we're going to do this again in about a year from now. And
I'm
see
down
where
to
we're
do
at.
it every week.
Bro, I wish we could do it. Don't tempt me.
Let's give each other topics to talk about.
I fucking love it.
I love it.
Because I've been talking about a co-host, it's just a better dynamic with two people to go back and forth. But topics, don't get me started.
I'm down.
Me and you get some ideas. And,
I'm down.
And we rock
I would be doing it too. I just don't have the space to do it. So,
for sure. Well, look, this is why team effort, right?
There you
Everybody brings something to the table,
There you go.
and then we crush it. So
For sure.
I appreciate you guys.
All right, guys.
The Uncensored
Hell
podcast, Loso Rivera. Please follow on all social media. Love you guys. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Out.
Out.